grown from the last few years where it's just been me to someone else. So give everyone a round of applause to Jeremy Graves from Mango. So, do you want to give a brief explanation of what you do as well, briefly?
For those unaware, first of all, I'm Jeremy Graves. I am the community liaison for Manga Entertainment, so I'm the one primarily running the Twitter and Facebook until Jerome hijacks it for a few minutes. So if ever you see the letters JG at the end of a tweet or a Facebook post, that's me. That is literally me, and so I am the conduit between you and Manga HQ. And I produce the podcast, make some video content, come to places like these because I love coming to conventions. I speak to you, the people, and tell Manga HQ what they should license or what they shouldn't license, depending on how kind you want to be. And if you've got any questions, you can throw your vitriol at me, but be warned I am a 6'8" giant.
I'm going to use that excuse as well. You'll stand in for me as well here. Is it not on?
This is a good start. Our live microphone to run. Ah, it worked.
I turned it from off to on. The switch says off and on it. I know it's not the same to me.
Well, while they're figuring out, the way this is going to work is it's literally going to be a Q&A.
Yeah.
We've got sort of top of the hours, so throw whatever questions you want at us, and we will do our best to answer them.
Briefly as well, for anyone who doesn't know already, I'm Andrew Partridge, the current president of Anime Limited. Who knows what will happen in the future there? No, I've consolidated everything into one place and run my own company now, which is nice. So I do basically everything from sewing mailbags, whatever prison wardens tell me to at the time, to signing contracts, like paying bills, etc. Very boring stuff. Also acquiring content.
And I talk to you. So there we go. First question. Put your hands up. We will let our runner decide.
Whatever. He's closer.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you very much. First question is concerning the live-action Yamato movie.
Yes.
Basically, will the sales of it determine whether or not manga decide to go for Yamato 21.99?
Good question. And for those unaware, Space Battleship Yamato, the live-action movie, is available on DVD and Blu-ray this Monday. Also available this weekend in the dealer's room.
What prices are Jeremy?
No comment. With regard to 21.99, an interesting thing has come up with that, because now I believe in America it's going to be branded as Star Blazers 21.99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whether that will have an adverse effect on a potential UK release, who knows? I know that Jerome, I think he said this on one of our podcasts as well, Jerome did speak to the people regarding it, but you know as much as I do as to whether anything else can happen with it. Jerome sort of tells me what I need to know.
Tim Eldred, he's pretty much one of the guys there. I know a lot of the old Yamato fans are pretty much going, why are you making it Star Blazers? It was only done that for the Americans.
It's a committee-based decision. The issue is actually, ironically, nobody wants to sell it just now. Like, ironically enough, there's plenty of people interested in buying it, but as in on a business level, like a licensing level, just no one's willing to sell it just now. There's a lot of Star Blazers changeover is a part of that process, but it's ongoing. It's not that nobody wants it just now, but I don't think sales of anything are going to influence whether it's bought or not yet for release in the West.
But that said, if the live-action movie did sell like hotcakes, it would demonstrate that there is a demand for it in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect way to demonstrate that fact.
And it's available in the dealer's room today, I believe. Right, Jeremy?
Correct. Offer tomorrow, because dealers are not open today.
This will let me in.
Cool, next question.
Wait, there's Joe as well. Save some lunch.
I'm trying to equal distribution.
Listen to you and your science.
I haven't
On topic.
Here's a question for Andrew. So far, you've brought 2 A-list anime directors over to be interviewed, show the circuit, and promote their products. Have you got any other anime directors in mind to bring over to the UK?
Yes. You didn't ask who, so that's that done.
Oh, are we done?
Yes. Yeah. We're not done with the panel, but...
Okay, this is probably a quick one, mostly for Andrew. When can we expect the full lineup for Scotland's anime to be announced?
end of August, give or take. I've literally locked most of the stuff in just now, but there's one or two I'm still waiting on little things like key arts and copyright lines for.
Who the hell would want to go to Scotland?
Dave, I'm not even going to raise to that.
Thanks. In the previous panel, Matt Mercer mentioned that anime is not as profitable as it once was. I was wondering if you could tell me why, in your opinion, that is, and what your, of course you have a master plan, what your master plan is to overcome this problem in the future.
It's still profitable, God, it's still profitable, it hurts. Was it ever profitable is the question?
Yes.
Well, in the West, though.
Hey, we ran enough. You know the history.
What, ATV went bankrupt?
We all know why. It doesn't have anything to do with the profits.
That's true. But no, like, profits are dwindling just... There's endless reasons. It depends on what you look at. You could look at the output of content, for example, changing its focus towards Japan-centric, for example. There's far less titles like Hellsing coming out. You know, Attack on Titan is the only one in the recent years which has really hit out like that, to be honest. I mean, everything else, you know, even things like Ghost in the Shell, when they research just now are OVAs. Like, so the only strategy to survive there is to pick more selectively what you're picking up and be willing to say no a lot more often, basically.
More aggressive marketing?
It's not even more aggressive marketing even, it's a case of like the trouble is the content which is chaff now, effectively, still has some value in the marketplace, but it requires a different kind of business model to operate it. You need to be basically giving it to someone in the West, who then runs a strategy digitally to build some revenue in, and then the most popular of those get a home video title. But the trouble is, to get to that stage, it requires a big shift in how Japan does things, because right now Japan's model is quite logical. I mean, if I were them, I would do the same thing, which is minimum risk, most income, no real commitment. Until they change that to like some adversity, like to risk some acceptance that it could go wrong, and to give a chance to it, then just got to be more selective.
Another thing as well, which I'll add this from my own personal perspective as opposed to manga, just in case I say something bad. Another thing as well is, it's how people are being introduced to anime and how many people will buy it. I mean, all of us in here, it's pretty safe to say we're all big anime fans, but if you look at the next generation of fans, they haven't necessarily got an output like television. Like, for example, we were doing a Twitter event last night from the Manga UK Twitter for Naruto Shippuden Movie 3, and I asked one of the questions of how did you first discover Naruto, and loads of people said, I found it on Jetix, saw it on television. And what other anime can people say that with now, really? Obviously excluding things like Pokemon, which are just endless. But when it comes to newer properties, the television channels don't want to take them, and while it's obviously a massive debatable topic as to whether television viewings can equate to DVD/Blu-ray sales, but if there's not that exposure available to a newer generation of fans, and really it's just dependent on brothers and sisters, parents, searching friends, that's one of the big reasons perhaps why anime isn't as profitable, because there isn't that much exposure, and that's my own personal opinion. So whether anyone else agrees or wants to disagree, throw it at me.
I'd say it's exactly one of those factors. I mean, even now when there's stuff on TV, like Summer Wars, for example, how many people knew Summer Wars was on? Was it Sky Movies?
Sky Movies, yeah, it was shown on Sky Movies a while back.
How many people knew it was on Sky Movies, like, early this year? It's true, like, I mean, like, there is that issue there. I mean, the awareness even, like, is...
the release screenings on Film 4? So they've shown...
That's about all there is. I mean, Film 4, like, basically constantly run that type, but even then, they're not acquiring new content.
No, they can't now.
Like
The deal's been taken by Sky Movie.
Yeah.
Sky Box Office now.
I don't have a television anymore because they don't show anime.
Yeah.
I don't see So you should fund an anime channel on Kickstarter or something.
No, someone mentioned it this evening. Where's my alcohol? Kickstarter.
Where's Careless
No.
Whisper on your phone?
Not today. I did actually have a BBC magazine, children's magazine, that I was going to start playing, like pulling Rasta Mouse stickers out and giving people every so often, but they're actually so cool I've kept them for myself. So, sorry about that, guys.
I mean, actually, another point, speaking about television, is also as well that television channels don't want to take anime at the moment, which, you know, if they'd be willing to take one thing, I mean, funny enough, I was having a discussion about this a few minutes ago with a few people, and I was saying that Tiger and Bunny, in my opinion, is one of the best series that could potentially be marketed to a wide audience, because it's got superheroes. And look at what all the massive films are at the moment. Batman, Avengers, the Marvel properties, X-Men coming out soon, Wolverine's just come out. Superheroes are so massive, and it's one of those shows that, again, personally, I think could translate to a new generation and get them in. But no one to take it, so there you go.
Next question.
Okay, well, given the response to Kickstarter, this may not be the best question to ask, but I'll ask it anyway.
You're far away.
Okay.
I can still throw, Dave.
Okay, so last year you asked about Kickstarter in response, like regarding licensing, and the response was basically you don't think Japan will get it. Since then we've had Little Witch Academia, Kick Heart, and most relevantly the Time of Eve. Has any of that changed your opinion on using Kickstarter as a licensing platform? And also, do you think there's regarding the Time of Eve, there's a slight danger of Japan sort of going directly to the Western fans and just bypassing you entirely?
Well, they didn't. I can't say anything on grounds of NDA. I'm pretty sure as a result of the agreement there, but they didn't bypass me. That's for sure. So I don't know. I think the market is changing. Little Witch Academia is an interesting point because it's again how many people saw that the event in Tokyo next week is cancelled, for example. The interesting point behind that is actually it doesn't mean it's not popular in Japan. It was just poorly advertised at the time. I don't know. I think Kickstarter is an interesting model for certain films, and actually, Anime Limited is looking at one particular title just now, but the requirements for it are so specific. You need UK and USA. UK only is a no-go, basically. The amount, if you look at every UK-based Kickstarter, the amount needed would not match the amount you would make back. You certainly couldn't dub a show based on that. The second requirement is you have to actually have licensed the title and have an agreement with the licensing parties ahead that you're going to do this. So you needed a good background to set up the reason. That's why Japan tends to do it themselves, because they just have to go one trip to the committee and go, we're going to do it ourselves. How Kickstarter, poor idea.
If I can add to that, just before we carry on, wasn't there a case that a Kickstarter wanted to translate a manga, but they didn't actually have the rights to it?
Yeah,
something along those lines, and I know there was a massive hurdle there.
It was one of the Tezuka ones, I think, again. And it's definitely a case of, I think it's shifting in some companies' eyes there, especially the ones who want more autonomy. In the case of Little Witch Academia, it was just a case of they couldn't fit in a full TV series, so they couldn't go the committee road, and no one wanted to really fund, I suspect, one more OVA. So what they did was kind of fitted it in before Kill the Kill. That's why they can't expand it any further as well, because they have a full TV series on commission from October, which looks amazing, by the way. Has anyone heard of Kill the Kill yet?
Yeah.
Looks like one of the good ones as well for the season. This isn't a hint from me or anything, it just looks really good. I'm actually more interested in Samurai Flamenco, if we're honest. We divide them up, because I know the old producer there, who's amazing, actually. But anyway, long story. Honestly, I think my opinion's changed of how certain... It's more the more independent people. I don't think it's going to be a model for every project, and certainly not the majority of projects. I think the majority need to go the traditional road for any number of reasons. But I think certain niche projects, particularly films and one-off commitments, that deserve a chance to come out but are too much of a risk, due to being too art house or too, too far gone in the eyes of everyone else, retailers, industry, etc. I think it's changing.
Next question.
What's your opinion on the Anime Souls and the Daisuke streaming sites and their business model?
Do you like to start this one, Jeremy, or shall I leap in with my arms flailing?
I suppose we need to think of this in two ways, personally and from... I will not speak for Manga UK on this one, because I've actually not talked to Jerome about it, so I'm not going to throw myself in the hole there. Personally, with the Anime Souls concept, I think it's a really cool idea, but the way it's been implemented, I think more strategy needed to be thought up. because it seems that, like, I mean, there are loads of people who want classic anime and the older series, but instantly one of the hurdles for us is that we can't take part in it, unless you've got someone who lives in America who you can just maybe PayPal the money to or something like that. And it's a massive hurdle for us, which means that they're also now restricted to North America, and there's no guarantee that anything could come of that. How many titles actually worked? Did one
two so far, Blackjack and Creamy Mammy, I think. Yeah, like to quote Lucille Bluefon, I neither understand nor will I respond to the question. Daisuke, I think, is a nice idea. I can't honestly comment on the trouble is with any VOD model. Like, you need a local strategy. Look at Netflix, for example. It's been so easy for Netflix, just turn the switch on, go, we've got Arrested Development, latest season, deal with it, Breaking Bad, etc., away we go. But they came to the UK and they set up, like, blue banana stands, etc., in London. I wish they toured it further to say Glasgow, but that'd be wishful thinking, perhaps. Like and such, and they had an active presence in the market. Now, Anime Souls just now doesn't really have to because it's focusing on the US for now. And I think for the, like, I agree for the classic market, a wider market would be ideal. There's a lot of, I actually know the person behind it relatively well, and I know there's a lot of reasons they couldn't open up initially and such. And it, like, they are doing very well, but to have two projects on a nostalgia basis go through on crowdfunding is good. I think it just proves you, like, you just have to be selective of which ones you go and accept. That's, like, for every 10 you put in, maybe, like, the goal is to reach 50% of them going through long term as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
But I like the business models, but in one case I think, like, Daisuke hasn't really revealed its business model outright yet, or at least whether it's going to work or not. I think it's kind of still finding its feet and establishing itself, which is cool. We can all wait and see how that turns out, which is nice. I think there's going to be a conflict long term there, because there seems to be very much are they doing their own thing for promotion and such, and when you've got the rights to the title, like say in a territory, the last thing I want is out of the blue to find promotion is going on for it, but I can't tie into the home video, for example, which I know sounds selfish, but like at the end of the day, digital works at the moment if it's supporting home video to an extent. The more people who see it, great, but if they don't know it's available in the UK on home video, it's not going to help. Like, if it's on Netflix, your general assumption is there's probably a home video release somewhere. Not so much so on other services just now.
Next question.
Okay, long-winded question, probably going to get a very short answer.
Okay.
Right. With Japan very much locked into their business model that's been working very well for them, but costing us over here a hell of a lot of money, and the increasing quality of output from people like Puzzle Animation, Shanghai Media Group, could we see either manga or
Anime Limited.
Good start.
I'm sorry, you
That's okay. I change every week,
every couple of weeks. So.
You could just say Andrew. I mean, like Andrew.
Andrew and his box of DVDs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could we see you picking up titles from other Asian companies, not just Japan?
I don't see why not. Like, it depends. I mean, it's almost a branding issue at that point. Like as long as you separate them out and make sure it's clear, then I don't see why not if it's an interesting content.
So we might possibly see Manhwa in UK launch as a subgroup for manga, if we can see some of the really cool Chinese stuff coming out over here, for example.
I can't really answer that question, to be completely honest, but anything is possible. And manga has released, what was it called? Was it? No, actually, it wasn't manga, sorry, I don't think, but Sky Blue, was it? Was it Korean animation? Tartan, yeah, thank you, from Tartan. So, like, animation from other territories can make it to the UK. It's just all got to, the stars have got to align, is probably the best way to phrase it at the end of the day. Next question, if any. Oh wow, way at the top. Hello. Run.
If I get someone over this slide at the back next, that would be superb.
At the previous AyaCon a couple of years ago, I believe it was brought up that some of the UK releases used masters from Australia. In fact, I recall the Blu-ray from Madoka Magica had an Australian anti-piracy advert on it.
Here we go. Okay.
It's sort of a two-sided question. What I'm curious about is how Australia, what Australia's relationship is with certain releases. For example, I've noticed a number of releases of series I've been absolutely crazy about. For instance, a complete collection of Cardcaptor Sakura, Nichijou, Denno Coil, Higurashi Kai, and just recently Kaiba. I'm hunting that down now. So how does their relationship with Japan work? In addition, how does your relationship with these Australian companies work in regards to obtaining these masters?
Okay, let's see what I can answer this. To try and make this a fairly concise answer, if Australia can release a title, it would, for lack of a better way of putting it, it would increase the chance it may come over to the UK because they are also a PAL territory, whereas America and Japan are NTSC, and they're two different. If you're not familiar with them, wiki it, trust me, it's a whole host of topics. But if something comes out in Australia, it, in theory, could increase the chance of a UK release. And when it comes to using masters, or as it's phrased, the Australian versions of things, it just helps cut down production costs, really. So it's being able to get access to their assets, as it were, and then having those on the UK release. So for example, the UK collection of Hellsing, the original series, that is essentially the Australian output version, but in the UK. And it's just because it was a way to be able to get the title over here, but it wouldn't make a huge dent, and we could still bring it out. If I hope that makes sense, and it's a good way of phrasing it.
The answer to the relationship part is it works the same way ours does with Japan. It's completely separate relationships. It's just if they pick up something, like we tend to look in on it as well, like vice versa. It's basically like we don't acquire the content from Australia, same as always. It's just a case of if they have it, it's cheaper. Sometimes anyway, it depends, because like the cost of Blu-ray is still pretty high though. It's about 3 times, I think the last time I checked it was about 3 times the cost of DVD, depending on where you're doing it and how. Depends what scale, if you're doing a Blu-ray 50 or Blu-ray 25 as well, the capacity. So the more you can save, the better it is for everyone.
Surely now that we've got high definition formats which have got the same resolution both here and in America, surely this whole PAL NTSC thing is not an issue anymore, or is it just kind of a holdover that the territories have just kind of divided themselves up in that way, just kind of as a sort of legacy from the old format days?
Well, for me it's not really an issue nowadays, because, I mean, how many people here still use a CRT screen to watch their anime? Like, okay. How many people use LCD screens, like plasmas or LEDs? Okay, so if I were to release a DVD in NTSC, like Cowboy Bebop, for example, on DVD, for example, then one person out of a room here would have problems, perhaps, with it. And you're seeing a lot more CRTs of the old massive screen.
Cathode ray tube.
Yeah.
Old school.
The ones which aren't flat
they
in the
will
least.
understand cathode ray tube.
But yeah, basically, it's at the point now. Those TVs, it used to be that if you put it in and it was a Region 2 disc, but in NTSC, it would come up black and white. But now, on those kind of TVs, because they weren't widescreen, they weren't designed, they were just, the way they're designed doesn't work. But LEDs and plasmas, they just, it'll still come up in color because they can do either. So, I'd argue almost nowadays it's a non-issue. A lot of the big studios are still scared to do so, but if you look at, in Blu-ray, it's certainly a non-issue nowadays.
But you would be surprised at how many people still have CRT TVs. A couple of my friends still have them, and whenever I say to them, why don't you go HD? And they just went, because I don't need to. I'm happy with it. And at the end of the day, it's part of the UK culture, and until every one of those things break, I suppose is the best way to phrase it, until everyone has to upgrade and it's the only option they've got, CRT TVs will still be about. And then that's why there is a need still for a PAL conversion as well.
Yeah. I'd say like it's more a cost issue than anything as well. The fact is in PAL is a bonus when they run it with Australia. It's just the fact that if you can reduce your costs by a little bit, it means you can spend a bit more promoting the show. You can spend it doesn't mean that you're going to make more money. It just means you're going to lose less on the promotion and do a bit more.
Or it could go towards another title potentially.
Yeah.
We've probably got time for one more question.
Quick question about live action. Last year, Andrew, you were lucky enough to able to get the Phoenix Wright live action movie at Scotland Loves Anime. I believe we've had it confirmed that there is an American edition. Not sure. American edition possibly in the wings, but obviously would it, well.
Is it coming over here? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Is there any chance of a European? We've had a European edition which was German, and the subs were locked, with no English sub or dub either way. Obviously, a dub is a hard sell, but any news on potentials for that, really?
Well, I've heard news, but I can't comment on it. It's as far as I know, something's going on. But it's nobody in this room, it's not MVM if it is. Like, it's one of those titles where, unlike Rurouni Kenshin, which is really good actually for a live action conversion, it's one of those ones which is sellable as the franchise is still ongoing, same as Leighton basically and such. So I don't have any doubt someone will pick it up at some point. I have no idea who, to be quite honest, but I know.
Partly following on with the fact that we've just had confirmation of Leighton versus Phoenix Wright and Phoenix Wright 5.
Or as I like to call a cash cow for anyone for live action rights.
Exactly, it's a potentially a good opportunity to make a cross license with that. So.
It's very true. No, it definitely is. It's the same for Leighton as well, actually. But Leighton, you get there's still a lot of requests, to my knowledge, from back when I was at Kaze for packing it in with new Leightons, for example. So, it's definitely one. I'm certain it's on someone's radar just now, and probably due for a release at some point.
Who knows? I don't know, to be honest, but
I think that's us as well. At this point, I think the opening ceremony is about to kick off, but it's not running late. So it will kick off at some point.
So if you want to go to the opening ceremony, you can. If you've got any questions, feel free to come and ask us, or just stay here. We'll take more questions if you really want. I don't know, we're game for it. Cool. Yep.